Hi, Chandra Tanji here. I just want to give a little brief history and background into our High School Hamburgers / JesusBurgers program. It started when we first were building out the building that we are currently in. Pastor Lee and I would often office out of McDonald's and Starbucks. And what I saw was students coming over, lots of them at a time, to Starbucks, and many would just order drinks. And I started to see this pattern. And so one day I went up to a group of them and was just like, hey, I'm not trying to be weird, but I'm the new youth pastor over here. I just kind of want to get to know you guys and some of your needs and things like that, and what you might like, what might make you want to attend a youth group, things like that. So can I buy you a drink? And there was this sense of pride immediately. They did not want a handout. I later found out from the principal that is a trend there. It is not everyone, but many of the students there are a low-income school. It's now a title school. But there's this incredible pride where they don't want handouts. They want to work for what they receive. They want to deserve what they receive. And so I started buying gift cards, and that kind of worked a little bit. But I was like, what else can I do to feed these kids? This was before the whole school had free lunch. And so I was talking with a gentleman named David Carducci, who came to just sell us coffee for Sunday mornings, and I just kind of shared my heart around this and what I wanted to do. And I was letting him know that, I just want to feed them, give them lunch or something, but I'm not too sure what's going to happen with all that. So fast forward about a week later, he called me and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm up at this church in Broomfield. You got to come check it out. They're doing this thing called JesusBurgers. And I was like, what? Okay. So I went. It was amazing. Kids lined up, waiting for a burger, getting prayed over, all the things. It was absolutely beautiful. So I came back to our church, and then very next week called a couple volunteers and just said, hey, I'm going to put a grill out and just start feeding these kids. So week one, we had about, I think it was 21, I'm looking down there to see if my mom's listening. It was 21, 27, something like that. Less than 30 kids, week one. Had some ups and downs, went up to 40s, 50s. By the end of the school year, one week, I think we had 70. The next year, beginning of the school year, was in the 70s. We ended with around 100, I think 101. Third year doing it, 140 kids, I think, the very first week. And it has just blossomed from there. So now we see anywhere on average from 130 to 170 students every week. Now, Arvada High School only has just under 700 students, and freshmen are not allowed off campus. And so we are seeing a high percentage of the students coming over. We're seeing things like one of our leaders last year leaving to go get in her car, and there's a group of kids in the car next to her, and as she's walking to her car, they all get out and they're like, Miss, will you pray for us? I mean, it's just been so beautiful, and we are able to pray for them. They're coming to the church. Some of them don't want to, or maybe aren't ready to receive prayer yet, but we still pray for them in our hearts, right? But there's also times when they're like, no, I'm good, I don't need anything. And it's like, okay, great, then let's do a praise, right? So this ministry has just grown and blossomed, and we've seen last year at Arvada High, at the graduation, I went to watch one of our altitude students graduate, and just seeing all of these students that I've made connections with over the past few years, some of which, one in particular that just stands out, that in January we had a conversation and he did not think that he was going to graduate. Everything was stacked against him. He wasn't doing good. He would come over and just kind of sit in our youth space in the back and not go to class. And after conversations of just encouraging him, and even at one point being pretty bold of you need to go to class, which that should be my job anyway, but we also want to meet students where they're at. So we're not forceful with things, but we try to, hold that space between the iron fist and what, not to be cliche, but what would Jesus do? How would Jesus handle this? Get to class and we love you, and so seeing this one particular student who in January thought he was going to have to go to summer school, night school, all the things in order to graduate. He did have to go to night school, I think for just 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, but ended up graduating, and seeing him walk across that stage was just such a gift. And so I want to encourage you. I want to invite you to come along in this ministry. If you haven't been by on a Wednesday, come check it out. I'm praying now. Next week is our very first one for this school year, for 2024-25 school year. I'm praying we have the same number of students, but it's not about the numbers. It's about the impact. And we've seen that. We have some students who would come every day and hang out on their off period. They would come for lunch, and now they have a booth in our farmers market and are selling their jewelry to, make some money. And it's just so powerful. We've had a couple students come and speak in interviews on stage at church that maybe they're not even believers yet, but they're willing to learn. They're willing to come alongside because they see something more. And just by showing up, showing the love of Christ, we can be a light in these students' lives. So I, again, encourage you to come by on a Wednesday. We have several opportunities. We have the Setup and Serve team, we have our Prayer Warrior team, and then we have our safety team. And we need all three. Mostly the safety team and the Prayer Warriors are the ones that I'm in the biggest need of. We also need donations. So every week it takes about $250 to make this ministry work in order to feed the students. That's mostly just for the food, but we also take any kind of donation. I ask for fresh desserts and things that are just so the kids don't feel like they're just getting leftovers. Donations and things like that are great. But I just ask that we give our best first. And so those kind of things, if you're interested in donating, be it financially or just bringing some stuff in, let me know. If you're a local business and you want to get in on this, maybe you have a restaurant or something nearby and you can give us buns or hot dogs or burgers or pizza, or maybe just the financial donation, whatever that might look like. I would love to also promote your business and say, hey, this week's JesusBurgers is sponsored by, I don't know, I'm going to call out George's Cafe. Maybe one week they make us burritos. Just a thought. I don't know. But something like that. So anything that is on your heart. And most importantly, pray. Please pray for this ministry. Pray for the students. Pray for the teachers, the leaders, the volunteers, that when the Spirit moves in us toward a certain student, that we would have bold faith, that we would not be afraid to talk to them and to pray over them and pray for them. Pray that the students have the volition to go to class and to do their best. Pray for the teachers, that they show up, that they feel loved enough and they come back. Because when a teacher leaves at the end of a school year and a student has made that connection, it's really hard. You want to see your favorite teacher when you go back to school the next year. So let's love on these teachers, be a part of this school. We also, another thing that we do is at least once a month, we provide pastries and coffee for the teachers for their teacher in service. And so if you want to be a part of that, we have a life group who's kind of in charge of that, but that's another way that you can help. Be it, again, either making a donation so the ladies can cook a little extra goodies for them or offset the price of the coffee, whatever that might look like. I just want to say I'm so grateful. It's okay. I'm so grateful for everyone who has come alongside this ministry. And I just ask for, again, your continued prayers and support during this school year. We need you to make this happen. Last year, it took 17 to 25 volunteers every single week to make this happen. And I don't even know how many dollars and how many burgers. I would love to add that up and just share that number with you, but it was a lot. And so if your heart's stirring a little bit right now and you would like to come alongside us in this journey, contact me. My information is in the email you received. And that was so weird. I'm sorry. My my screen went off. But contact me on the YouTube. I'll put my email in there. It's actually just chandra@altitude.church or youth@altitude.church. And let's get this year going. Happy 2024-25 school year.